Now, schools throughout Gauteng have experienced multiple days without electricity in the first half of this year. They are responsible for paying their own municipal bills, but defaulted to the tune of millions of rands, leaving thousands of classrooms in the dark. Many of those affected are no-fee paying schools, with some questioning the wisdom of giving them the responsibility of covering their own bills. Now, the financial situation at schools was shared in a written response to an issue raised by the DA Shadow MEC for Education Sergio Dos Santos. A detailed list provided by Education MEC Matome Chiloane's office shows that 536 schools endured some sort of billing-related disconnection this year. Of those, 293 were for a period of at least 30 days, while another 250 experienced disconnections lasting between 7 and 18 days. 4 of the schools had their water disconnected for periods between 10 and 27 days, with the remaining schools having had their electricity disconnected. There were 16 schools that had their water, electricity, waste and sewage services disconnected simultaneously. Now, to expand the conversation, we have Sergio Dos Santos himself of the DA to give us a sense of the outcome of some of these concerns. A very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. I mean, you flagged Gauteng's schools facing water and power cuts as a 58 million rand debt mounts. Talk to us about some of these revelations.
So in written questions to the MEC, it was disclosed that 525 schools have had the electricity, water, waste services disconnected since January 2025. One of the problems that I have with that particular reply is that the questions that I had submitted was actually asking since January 2024, but they have only supplied for 2025. But it shows that 525 schools were, firstly, they reported 525 schools. I must actually correct myself. And then a follow-up question, it was 536 schools. So that number has gone up. It is quite concerning that a number of schools have had electricity disconnected for up to 30 days. I do question if it is legitimate number of days, because there's a number of schools that are specifically 30 days, 7 days, 18 days, 17 days, 6 days. It just seems a little too consistent, knowing how municipalities work and how long it takes to get services disconnected or reconnected. But this is a systematic failure and financial oversight that has not been done by the Gauteng Department of Education. While many of the schools are Section 21, some of them are Section 20 schools, so that's the definite responsibility from the department. But over and above that is that a number of these schools had the responsibility, Section 21(1)(d), still lying with the Gauteng Department of Education, and only from the 1st of April was it handed over to to a number of schools across the province. And that historical debt had taken over, the school had taken over that historical debt. Many schools had received pre-termination notices. There were schools that had the services disconnected. The MEC back in June on national TV said that no school would ever be disconnected going forward. But later that month, on the 21st of June, there were a number of schools in Ekurhuleni that was actually cut off.
So just pardon the interruption. So you're saying, looking at the historical debt, that schools have taken on the historical debt prior to schools being responsible for their own accounts?
So to give you an example, Ernest W. Hobbs Primary School in Eldorado Park, when they were given the function shift from the 1st of April, they had an historical debt which was due by the Gauteng Department of Education to the city of Johannesburg for an amount of 4.7 million rand. Vleerhof Primary School has an amount, as of May, 3.8 million rand. To give you another example, Centurion Secondary School was disconnected in May. They were given functions and they didn't even know they were given those functions. So they had to raise money take money from other line items to pay and get the services reconnected. WH could see a primary in the south of Johannesburg had water disconnected for several months with an outstanding amount of over 1 million rand. So this has become the norm. The department will make it sound like that it's not a huge problem and disconnections don't happen, but the reality is it has happened. Even Bosman Primary School was disconnected last year with a billion amount of 1.9 million rand.
So you're saying that this now responsibility needs to be given to the education department itself, that schools should stop paying the debt directly from their accounts?
So in terms of what we're saying is that any historical debt that the GDE was responsible for paying before the transfer of the function to schools needs to be paid in full by the department. You cannot have an outstanding amount of, say, 4.7 million rand given to the school and then expect the school to pay. Now, what happens is that 4.7 million rand, regardless of when the department pays off that account, that school is at risk and was at risk because they had a pre-termination notice to disconnect services. So the department, when they are responsible for paying the services, they need to be able to pay the services timeously. That is a requirement of the schools, but that is also a requirement in terms of the department as well.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Wrapping up that conversation with the DA's MEC for Education, Sergio Dos Santos.